So what is going on, guys? CG here today and welcome back to the channel. Now today I thought we'd do something a little bit old, a little bit classic CG-esque. I really want to resurrect some old kind of style videos on the channel, and I thought what better way to do that for the first time than to talk about the Game of the Year awards. I've made a few videos, or maybe one or two, on the Game of the Year, of my reactions to Game of the Year, my predictions for Game of the Year a couple of years ago, and so on and so forth. But today I want to talk more specifically about the Game of the Year, because usually when you talk about the Game of the Year awards, you have the action-adventure games, the music, direction, all that kind of good stuff, and you have all the announcements, and if you do like a reaction video, you have to react to the whole thing, all the best bits. Whereas today, I'm just going to be talking about, more specifically, two games. One, God of War, and two, Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, mainly these two because these were the two very big contenders for Game of the Year, and obviously God of War won it. And there's been quite a lot of talk saying, you know, God of War shouldn't have won it, God of War didn't deserve it, Red Dead 2 should have won, so on and so forth. Firstly, I just want to shoot down any people that say that God of War did not deserve Game of the Year. Rockstar have done a fantastic job with Red Dead, don't get me wrong, but Santa Monica Studios have equally been making for God of War at the same amount of time. Everyone was like, oh, Red Dead's been in development for 8 years, it needs to come out and it needs to win Game of the Year because it's amazing, it's so in-depth, blah blah blah. But God of War was in development for 5-6 years, and they had to push for that to get the green light. They really had to push for this game to be made, and we are all blessed that it did, in fact, get made. But there is a very, very specific reason why I personally think that God of War managed to just pip Red Dead 2 to the Game of the Year award, and it's quite actually simple. God of War is a flawless game. Red Dead 2 has a few very glaring flaws. That's the simple difference. That's the one difference that I genuinely think. So if we go to God of War, for example, God of War was this great big open world, well, not open world, it was like semi-open world, semi-linear story game where you push on with your son to complete this quest, so on and so forth, and it was just, everything about it was just never, there was nothing bad about God of War. It never felt boring, it never felt sluggish, it never felt slow-paced. When anything happened, you always felt like that was when it should happen. And I think that there was a lot of things to do with God of War's development that really contributed to his Game of the Year award, you know. I think the continuous one shot that Cory Barlog came up with is something that is very rare in today's day and age, you know. I think Hellblade, Svenja's Sacrifice, I think it's called, also did this kind of technique where instead of having, you know, like all these different gameplay things and like cutscenes and cut into black, God of War, from the moment it starts, there is not a single loading screen or cutting to black until you get back to the house and have the Thor Easter egg. So it was a very, very continuous thing. You never ever felt like you were waiting around or doing something like that. There was a lot of going back and forth and subverting expectations, but that was purely just to kind of trick you into thinking, oh, I'm close to the end, I'm close to the end of the journey, but actually you're nowhere near. So, now that that's been said, I want to talk about Red Dead 2. And I don't want to shit on Red Dead 2 at all, because I love Red Dead Redemption 2. It's probably my favourite game of all time, the story mode at least. The online, that can be for a separate video if you really want to see that. But at the moment, you know, Red Dead 2 I've lost a little bit of love for because of the online. But the story mode is my main focus, because that's why it would have won Game of the Year, because of the rich, you know, the rich, diverse narrative that it has in the game. So, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a fantastic game. Chapter 1, you feel helpless in the snow. Chapter 2, you feel like you're making this comeback. You know, you feel like you're going to be living great lives in a couple of months' time when you're in Horseshoe Overlook. You then move down to Clemens Point, and you feel like that road to redemption, quite literally, is back on track. And then Chapter 4 comes around, and you start to think, right, we're getting a bit too greedy now, we're getting a bit too big for our boots, and that's a really, really nice point in the narrative. But the reason that I say God of War is flawless and Red Dead has its flaws is because of one simple thing that held Red Dead back, and that, for me, personally, is Guarma. Now, if you don't know what Guarma is, then I would suggest you turn away now because you clearly haven't completed the game. But Guarma is chapter 5. Now, chapter 5 for me was easily the weakest point in the game. It felt like a slog, it felt sluggish, it didn't feel fun, it didn't feel good. I absolutely, in my opinion, I hated it. I could not stand the Guarma chapter, because when you get put in this rich open world like New Hanover, Armadillo, New Austin, all of that, it was so cool to explore and enjoy it and be able to look at what the world had to offer, whether it be hunting, whether it be stranger missions, whether you want to just go and rob some old folk on a horse and cart. That was completely cool. You could do whatever your heart desired, right? But as soon as you got to Guarma, all of that freedom was then just taken away from you. You had to, you couldn't really go and hunt and gather or do anything else. It was more like you're on the island, your task is to get off the island. So you had to do one mission, another mission, another mission, then you were going to go on the boat, and then the army came, and then you were fighting the army with cannons, and it all just seemed a little out of place, so to speak. It just seemed a little weird. I just thought I shouldn't be playing this. This doesn't feel right. Chapter 6, though, luckily redeemed itself, because Chapter 6 is some of the richest storytelling I've ever heard. But then again, in the epilogue, I mean, I've spoiler warned you already with the whole Guarma thing, but when you start to play as John Marston, the start of John's story is so boring. When you're on the ranch and you're setting up, travelling from A to B to do this and that, it is just so tedious. And I love the game to bits, but I kind of feel like this big 50-hour campaign could be shortened down. And if it was shortened down and took out chapter 5 and made improvements to the epilogue, I genuinely feel like it would have beaten God of War. But it didn't, because I just feel like God of War was a flawless game. It had nothing wrong with it. The combat was superb, the acting was fantastic, the story was amazing, the characters and antagonist and everything about the game was so well done. Whereas on Red Dead, everything was so well done up until that one point, and then the boat crashed, you end on the tropical island, and everything just feels wrong. Everything just doesn't feel like, as soon as chapter 5 crosses around, everything just feels different, and that's what I didn't like. The change of tone, the change of pace, I didn't like that change in the arcs. And for me, at least personally, that is why I think God of War beat Red Dead Redemption 2 to the Game of the Year award. Now, I have been your boy CG. I really hope you have enjoyed this little video essay, whatever you want to call them. I really enjoyed doing this, you know. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I really hope you guys can get behind this, because videos like this is what I want to make. I don't want to do gameplays every single day, because they are very difficult to make. They're a very pain in the ass to make. So I really hope you guys do enjoy this video. If you do, remember to smash the thumbs up button. Of course, hit subscribe down below. That is the most important thing to me. Please remember to subscribe, post notifications on, and share this video around. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon with a brand spanking new video. Goodbye.